Hi friends, GL1 here, and today our subject is the dinosaur category Ceratopsidae, and that is going to be Triceratops and related dinosaurs, and we're even going to get into some volumetric measurements to evaluate our toy's scale and authenticity against other dinosaur toys. Let's start with Protoceratops. So what I have here is a lot of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World dinosaur toys. And what's great about Jurassic World, Jurassic Park toys is all the different varieties of body types and creations and the attention to detail that they're trying to project to their toy buying audience. What I mean more specifically is they could just stamp out a general body type and change the head, maybe change the size a little bit, but they don't do that. They really put a lot of effort into changing proportions, muscle structures, the pattern of the feet, scaling, it's coloring, all that. And even sometimes within the same species, they'll have a couple different options, like the Monolophosaurus in the Dinosaur Planet series. They had two different types for that. And they've even done that with Allosaurus. There's three different types of Jurassic World, Jurassic Park. It's hard to keep track of which one categorizes which with which series, but there's three different Allosauruses with that. All right, so the first one we start with is Protoceratops. All right, and one of the things, however, is that it's not always to scale with each other. So sometimes a dinosaur will be larger than what it is in comparison to another one of the species here. And we'll see that when I give you measurements. Now, this one here, Protoceratops, was 8 feet long, okay, and about 200 pounds, and was 73 million years ago. I've even seen as long as 85 million years ago. But that's Protoceratops, and presumably that would be the early Ceratopsidae. And in fact, we can go to a reference book. Now, I have a couple of books here, and this one is 1978. And, there's things in it that are really not outdated, which is pretty interesting. When I do a series on Spinosaurids, there's something really, really cool. This is 1978, this book, by an author, Richard Moody. I took the jacket off and I drew my own picture of a dinosaur while I was in elementary school with this book. And I always took the jackets off because I didn't want them to get messed up. I lost it, but I drew my own picture on it, of a dinosaur. And actually, my drawing is not correct. As we know, theropods were not standing upright. They would be leaning over. But this has Protoceratops, okay, up in there. They have a Ceratopsidae tree, okay, like family tree, how they branched out. And they have Protoceratops as long as 100 million years ago. And I don't know that that's wrong, because sometimes what you find on Wikipedia is not correct. And you definitely would think proto being first, it should be really early. But anyway, that's our little Protoceratops guy. You'll notice he has the back fin here and no real horn, maybe the sort of the budding of a little bit of a horn here. What's, again, an interesting thing about Protoceratops in our Richard Moody book is a picture that I used to look at quite a bit. And it's really neat when I go through these old books to see the pictures that I spent so much time looking at and pondering and fantasizing, sometimes looking at the weather in the background or what was going on. And this picture always made me a little sad. So here is Protoceratops and a couple of velociraptors are gathering the young, uh, maybe for breakfast. So one of them, the velociraptors, is holding the Protoceratops down while the other one is gathering up the young. And I just remember looking at that and thinking, that's just sad and terrible. Now, this book, again, remember, is 1978. Velociraptors weren't really popular and known about until 1993 when Jurassic Park came out and made them popular. And actually, they made them bigger. They made them like 6 feet tall. And at that time, when Jurassic Park had come out, they hadn't found 6 feet tall ones. They were only about 2.5 feet tall. But then not long after that, they did find some specimens that were larger. So, sometimes imagination trumps truth, and then truth ends up equalizing what is the imagination. So our little Protoceratops model. Now this is one of the newer, no, not one of the newer toys. The coding is on the bottom, so if you have the Jurassic Park software, you scan the bottom and it'll tell you, you have a Protoceratops and give you some details about it. Unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't give you numerical details, like how long they were, how tall, or how much they weighed. Maybe it'll give you a comparison, like, oh, it weighed as much as a large dog, or something like that. But what does that mean? All right, so another one we have over here is Zunia. Let's see. Zuniceratops. Okay, and this is 7 feet long, 400 pounds, and it says 93 million years ago. So what does that tell us? I think that my information on Protoceratops, the book was correct. It was 100 million years ago, because this is definitely looks more like an archaic form, no horns, and this is larger, and dinosaurs did tend to get larger and larger and larger till the late Cretaceous period, where you had Triceratops, which was the largest ceratopsid of all, the heaviest, certainly the heaviest. So I think that this is accurate, that this was 100 million years ago and this is 93, 200 pounds, 400 pounds. So got that little comparison there. And here's a fella here with a really odd horn on the front. Okay, and this is, hope I can say this right, Ionosaurus, 15 feet long, 2,900 pounds, 83 million years ago. So, so the way this would go is Protoceratops 100, okay, Zuniceratops 93, and then we have this guy, heavier, 400 pounds, 2,900 pounds, okay, and it doesn't have, it's just got the one big horn in the front, as you can see here. See that up close? See, this one's sort of like a Triceratops, but it's only got 2 horns, doesn't have a horn over the nose. This has a big, unusual horn over the nose, and then we have the spikes over the shield in the back, and that I would presume is to stop, theropods like an allosaur or T-Rex. Actually, yeah, it would be more like T-Rex, because I don't think allosaur was around. It was older than that. So these spikes would get in the way of trying to bite their neck, and they could, maybe thrust into someone with that. Now, these are simpler Jurassic World toys. They don't often have like a lever that makes the head, jolt up or something like that. But this is a newer one, and instead of having the code on the foot, it has a little tab that you pull up on the back, which works much easier with the software to scan. Also, the feet can get dirty on the bottom, and this won't. So, it should last longer for you. All right, now we have over here, we're going to go with 76 million years ago. Okay, look at the shield on that guy. It's kind of like folded down, and maybe that was used more, that's not really doing anything, I don't think, battle effective, but maybe just to be more attractive to males or females. And you have your 2 horns, and they're very wide, going out wide, and then you have your sort of your I don't know what you call that, your jaw horn. And this guy is a Cosmoceratops, 15 feet long, 2,600 pounds. So still, this one's a little bit bigger, and you can see actually it is a bigger guy, but in the same range. So their scaling is pretty good here. So that is Cosmoceratops. So it's kind of neat. And actually, this one I know you can still find that in stores. I've seen that. Actually, it might not be that hard to find any of these right now. And then 75 million years ago, we have Styracosaurus, 15 feet long, 6,000 pounds, 75 million years ago. So this one now, like I said, it's 6,000 pounds. So that would mean that it is almost more than twice the size of this one, but clearly you can see it is not as a toy. So perhaps this guy, one could play with it as a younger one, a juvenile, not full grown. Okay, 6,000 pounds. That is going to be as heavy as a Suburban, like a really large, like the largest SUV, 6,000 pounds. And sometimes you have to pay an extra tax on the larger SUVs. At least I remember that was a thing. And I think I have one of these in a book here. And let's see. This dinosaur book is one of my, oh yeah, there he is. So it's really hard to see, but it's up in this corner here, okay? And this book here, this was, I think, my second dinosaur book. This is 1973. And I remember there was a red one, and I don't think it was How and Why, but I had this red one, and I don't know where it is. I've never found it since. But this was my favorite one, these oil paintings. And I used to look at this painting of T-Rex fighting Triceratops, and I just felt bad for both of them. Now, when I was younger, Triceratops was my favorite dinosaur. I don't know anymore. There's so many cool dinosaurs that I know about. But, the picture always touches me to see them, battling. And I'm going to show you some pages here in this book. Let's see. This picture always was a curiosity to me. So here an allosaur is chasing a sauropod into the water, and it looked really annoying to me because now you're getting rained on, and you're having to go walk into the pond or more like a lake, I think there, and so your feet are getting wet and you're getting rained on. It's just wet, and it just always looked annoying to me. And I remember thinking how annoyed I'd be at it just getting rained on, like it's raining here, right? And I don't think the dinosaur really cared, but as a little kid, I remember thinking about that. Here we go. Here's Strichosaurus. Here's a really good picture. Again, this is 1973 book, and look at that oil painting of that guy there. So that's the Strichosaurus. And then here, I wanted to show you a contrast here. So in the beginning here on the inside, they show you a T-Rex in the old position. Okay, can you see that? Where he's upright, all right? He's just standing upright, like walking around with his tail dragging. And we've changed that, right? We've said, well, no, the T-Rex was the tail off the ground. He's leaning forward like this model over here, right? And in fact, they drew him when he's attacking an ankylosaur in that modern position. So even though it was not accepted universally that T-Rex walked like he does, like we see him in Jurassic Park, leaning forward, tail off the ground, So an artist concept had him balancing like that all the way back, 50 years ago. Now, here's that front cover. You see that? Okay, the expanded view of that. And again, young GL1 staring at that battle scene. And you could see our T-Rex there is more upright. So, that. And then, towards the end of the day, I guess it was a long battle. And I always, thought, oh man, the T-Rex killed my favorite Triceratops friend there. But it's, as it says here, the wounds that the Triceratops dealt to the T-Rex then fell, and they both perished right there. I thought that was really sad. Now, here's a little interesting picture. This is a stegosaur, okay? And see the little boy? He's on the inside of the display where you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be outside. Well, that would have been young GL1. When I was a young lad, I went to a museum, and I have a habit. I need to touch things. I need to feel them. It's just, oh, what's that feel like? Oh, look, that dinosaur's squishy or whatever, right? And I set the alarm off at this museum. And sure enough, the security had to come and shut the alarm off. Well, I went to that same museum as an adult, probably like 30 years later, and I was with Mrs. One and some friends, and I said, oh, when I was here as a boy, I set the alarm off, and I unconsciously I reached out and I set the alarm off once again on the exact same thing that I did as a bald-faced boy, and so nothing changed. So all right, so I just thought that was a funny thing. Moving on with our Ceratopsids. All right, this one not maybe too easy to find. Diabloceratops, and Diablo like the devil because his horns are kind of double horns up there, and he's got two horns here, a little nub of a horn over the nose. So it's got the cheek horns. This one makes noise. It's let's see if I can get him back. Oh, this is the lever action. You push this. It's not a button. You push a lever side to side. He turns his head, and he makes a lot of noise. He's even got the arm. His front legs can move out to the side. His back legs have a little bit of swing back and forth, and they move, forward and backwards. So a little bit more articulation. And this is, let's see, what I wanted to say is, sometimes it's press a button or twist a tail or something to do that. But I like this lever. The Jurassic World toys are always trying different things, and this is my favorite one because then you can kind of hold it and have it battle with other dinosaurs, and it's I like the lever action better than the push button, but it's up to you what you like. This guy was let's see, about 88 million years ago, 18 feet long, and almost 3,000 pounds. So, pretty big guy, right? 3,000 pounds, about as heavy as a Corvette, which is kind of a heavy car. It's got a big engine. All right, and this one here, with this is, Pentaceratops, 20 feet long, 5,000 pounds, 75 million years ago. So remember, the dinosaurs perished at about 66 million years ago. That's when they believe that the meteorite hit the Earth, and at the end of the Cretaceous, the KT extinction. This one, you push a button, and he arches his head up. That's pretty effective there. His tail wiggles, and he has another button where he can move to the right. So he can move to the right and then push that button, and then he can buck his head up. And this is squishy, and I like squishy. I don't always like squishy, and the horns are squishy too. So there you go, Pentaceratops. And he's a little bit older. He's got the coating on the bottom foot, whereas the Diabloceratops has the one that you pull up on the back. All right, this one here, this is Cyanoceratops, and this is also Cyanoceratops. So they have two different models of it, one with a horn and one without, and 73 million years ago, 15 feet long, 4,000 pounds. So, you know, you could pretend, I don't know what they were thinking, but I suppose they could think one is male and one is female. Sometimes, you know, males have antlers, you know, on deer and moose, and they use them to fight. And maybe the females have more of a muted antler setup, so maybe this would be the female. You know, or it's just a juvenile and it hasn't grown the horn yet. So, you know, you can pretend whatever you'd like. This has a button and it bucks its head, and it did make noise, but I took the batteries out because it gets annoying. You know, you have a little bit of the side hip articulation, forward, front leg articulation, but doesn't go out to the side. And yeah, that's Cyanoceratops. And then this one is a tail wiggler. So you move the tail, and then you can buck the head or move it side to side. So yeah, that's how that. And it doesn't have the lateral. It has the lateral movement in the back legs, which is really good. It helps it stand up and balance better. The front legs just go forward and backward. But I think it's pretty neat, and he's not squishy. It's kind of hard. So. All right, and then we have Nasutoceratops, 15 feet long, 3,000 pounds. So lighter than this guy. This is 4,000 pounds. And 76 million years ago. This is 73 million years ago. These guys, so these are a little bit, they're heavier, and they are closer, they're more recent, you know, by like 3 million years. So, you know, as I said, things generally got bigger as you got closer to the end of the dinosaurs. So Nasutoceratops, I like it. It's got the horn orientation, kind of like a bull. You know, they kind of go out and they come back in. This has a button you push and swipes with the tail. And yeah, it has two buttons, and then you have a bucking button. And this one does not make noise. And it comes with a juvenile. That doesn't come with, but you can get a juvenile Nasutoceratops. This is newer, has the pull-up code, whereas this one has it on the foot. So this came out first. And there he is, you know, cute, right? Looks like something that you would like to have as a pet, except that it's going to grow into this, and then that would be too difficult to have as a pet. A little bit of motion on the front legs and the back legs. So, and I think this was, I don't know, like $7.99, something like that. A lot of money, really, for just a little dinosaur like that. But, you know, when you kind of got to have them all so you can do a show, right? All right, now we're going to start getting into some science here. This is the Triceratops. And though it is the largest ceratopsid, significantly so, that is not representative here to scale with these. The Triceratops is, 30 feet long, could be 30 feet long, and up to 26,000 pounds. So they say, it could be anywhere between 11,000 and 26,000 pounds, which is quite a difference. But that could be that they have found mature individuals, and they could tell sometimes that from bone structure, that are 11,000 pounds, and some that are much larger. Now, that could be what's called sexual dimorphism, where the female or the male, like usually it is the female, is smaller and the male is bigger. like gorillas. Male gorillas are 2 to 3 times the size of a female gorilla. But then you have things like spiders and praying mantids where the female is larger than the male. And actually, if you watched Dinosaur Planet, part 3, I think. Well, maybe part 4. The one with the tarantula, where the dinosaur met up with the tarantula, that was a male tarantula. It was smaller. The females are bigger. So, all right. So this is 66 million years ago. So, these guys went out with the dinosaurs. Now, with all of them, right? Now, this is the enhanced model Triceratops. It has better articulation. You have ankle articulation. You can turn the feet. Okay, see that? You can turn the feet, move the arm. It has even like a little bit of, you can bend the forearm here. Okay, and the same thing with the back. You have a knee joint. See that? And you can, move the whole leg. You can move the foot around. It moves. Your tail has a couple of joints, and it actually has a ball, like a ball joint kind of, and then you have another joint here. So, when you put it in position, it stays in position. There's no buttons to make it do anything. It doesn't make any noise. And this was $20. Okay. Although I was able to get it on sale for $10. Now, scale issue. Okay. So that's where I, thought to myself, well, if they're going to make big T-Rexes and big sauropods, why didn't they make a Triceratops to scale? This is a Triceratops. This is one of the simpler ones, okay, where, you push a button and it butts the head. It doesn't have as much articulation, but it's basically the same size. And so these are the only sizes that they made the Triceratops toy with. So I thought, well, let's do a volumetric experiment. Any of you that saw the volumetric experiments with the sauropods, where Dr. Sarsaparilla, and then the lost episode of myself where I'm smiling with 3 sauropods on the cover picture. What I did with that is a volumetric experiment, and let me show you how we did that. We take a dinosaur and we wrap it up in plastic, like this one, okay? This is a T-Rex, all wrapped up in saran wrap to make it watertight. We submerge it in water, so we fill up a basin with water, and we mark where the water starts. We submerge the dinosaur and then mark where the water goes up. Then we take the water out with a cup and bring the water back down to the original level. We take that extra water, we weigh it. Okay, so let me go over that again. So we have a basin, we have marked where the water level is. We push the dinosaur down, the water goes up, we mark where that level is. Then we take the dinosaur out. Then we fill the basin with additional water till it goes back up to where the dinosaur, when it was in the water, made the water level go up. Okay, so we fill it up to that level. Then we scoop the water out back down to the original level. The water that we scooped out, we weigh. And that gives us a water weight of the volume that the toy took up. Okay, so the idea was, what T-Rex is to scale with an adult? If this were an adult, let's assume this is going to be the adult size, of a Triceratops. I said, okay, well, we'll assume that we'll figure out where this fits, and what we're going to use as our control is a T-Rex, and we're going to call this T-Rex 15,000 pounds. So whatever water weight this is, we're going to use that ratio. We're going to say that water weight is 15,000 pounds. And then we're going to compare that with other animals. Okay, so if that's complex, I will make that clear to you. All right. So when we submerged this, all right, I don't know how easy this is to see here, but I'll go over it. So when we submerged the green T-Rex, okay, this is not a Jurassic Park or Jurassic World T-Rex. When we submerged it, in fact, if you saw GL2's 51-minute T-Rex extravaganza show, really long show on T-Rexes, but very informative and thorough on a whole bunch of T-Rexes, like all of them that I have, which is a lot. He was in there. So this is what this T-Rex looks like. So, all right, so the green T-Rex, and we submerged it in the water, and it came out that the weight of the water that he displaced was 1.4 pounds of water. Okay, so 1.4, the volume that he displaces, 1.4 pounds. We're going to call that ratio 1.4 to 1.4. That's 1. We're saying that's 15,000 pounds. So we're going to make an assumption that this is a scale model of a 15,000 pound T-Rex. T-Rexes weighed, well, the heaviest Scotty, they estimate, was about 20,000 pounds. And so somewhere between 14 and 20,000. So 15,000 is pretty reasonable. Okay. Then we said, okay, well, let's do that with another T-Rex model and see what we get. So this is the V-Rex, okay, which is like a T-Rex, from the King Kong movie, the 2005 King Kong movie with Jack Black. Okay, so there's a bigger one, but we use this one because, obviously it's smaller. And we're going to say, okay, well, let's see what the volume, what this takes up. What's the water weight, right? So put this in. This displaced 1 pound of water. So it is smaller. The ratio is 0.71 of the first one. You multiply 0.71 times 15,000 to get what this would weigh in comparison to this one. And it would weigh 10,800 pounds. Okay, so this would be a small T-Rex, maybe not fully grown, like a teenager. Okay, so then we're going to take another one. We're going to go and say, okay, well, let's look at Jurassic Park T-Rex number 1. So we're going to take, this is not the largest T-Rex model. This is the one right underneath the largest. So I'm going to take this guy, okay, and let's see how you make that. There's a button on the head. You push that and the mouth opens. Okay, so we take this T-Rex. He displaces 4.2 pounds of water. Wrap it up in plastic, submerge it. 4.2 pounds of water. The ratio is 3. So 3 times 15,000. This would be a 45,000 pound T-Rex in comparison. If this were a 15,000 pound T-Rex, which we know is realistic, this would be a 45,000 pound T-Rex. There were no 45,000 pound T-Rexes. This would be more than twice the size of the largest T-Rex we've found. So what we know is this is not to scale with this, or really with the T-Rex at all. So you buy this, right, and you think, oh, it's playing with this. Well, if this is an adult, this is out of scale. If this is a juvenile, then you might be able to assume that you can make it work probably mathematically that it's to scale, but this would not be able to be an adult. This would have to be, probably it would have to be really small. Like it would have to be, if this is 45,000 pounds and you cut it in half, it's 22,000, it's still not enough. You have to take off some more. So instead of this being, let's say maybe an adult size Triceratops would be like 25,000. This would have to be something like a 10,000 pound, juvenile Triceratops in order for this to be the right scale. Okay, so basically though, 45,000 pound T-Rex. So then we take the big T-Rex, all right, which is over here, and we submerge that, and we see, well, what kind of weight do we get for that? Well, that was 4.8 pounds of water. This would be a 51,300 pound T-Rex, okay? So by far, you know, right, too large. But you know, this one you push the button and it hits with its tail. Push the other button, it's grab and throw, or throw it. It's grab from here and then throw it this way. All right, so that's. But all right, so we know also now that this there are no. It's not to scale, right? If we're saying that this, which we did come up with, this scales as an adult with this as an adult. Okay, so we can see that obviously this is much larger and would not exist in nature. All right, or at least no one's ever found one that's 3 times the size of a normal T-Rex. So not to be done yet, we then said, oh, from our sauropod measuring, we said, well, let's compare that to our elephant that we used with the sauropod measurement. We know that from that experiment, this took up 3 pounds of water. But if we scale it to this, all right, on our ratios, then this ends up being, instead of, when we did with the sauropods, which it did work, we assumed this is a 15,000 pound. So basically 3 pounds of water is 15,000 pounds of elephant, okay, which is a large African elephant. They are about 15,000 pounds, right? Which is the same as a T-Rex. But on this scale, this is a 32,000 pound elephant, and there are no 32,000 pounds elephants. So this is too big, not to scale. It doesn't scale with this at all. Now, it does scale with this actually is to scale with this, because this is a 15,000 pound T-Rex. It's a 3 pounds, no, I'm sorry, it's not quite the scale, because this is 4.2 pounds of water. It's close. So, this might be like the largest T-Rex ever, and this would be, like the largest elephant. So, yeah, they're close to scale. So these two would actually be close to scale, all right? And then just for curiosity, people like to always compare rhinoceri to Triceratops, right? Because they have a horn in the front. So these are Jumanji. This is a Jumanji elephant, and this is a Jumanji rhino. And you push a button, it makes a noise. So we wrapped this guy up, submerged him, and he came out to 3.2 pounds of water, which means this would be a 34,300 pound rhino. Rhinos are not that heavy. They're, maybe about 6,000 pounds. So, again, by far much, much larger than it really would be. So it doesn't scale. So, if you go and you take these two toys and you go, oh, could this scale with this? Again, this would not be able to be an adult. Compared to this, significantly smaller. So this would really be a juvenile. So, this in fact is bigger than the elephant. Right? The elephant was 32,000 pounds. This is 34,000 pounds. So it's not to scale with the elephant either. It's just add. So even as a toy, in the Jumanji world, these two don't scale to each other. So this should have been smaller if this Jumanji elephant was a 15,000 pound elephant. This should be less water weight, less volume, and it's not. So almost done. And I just thought that I'd show you. This is I guess this is a Stricoceratops, Styracoceratops. It's the only thing I could think of that's similar to it. And a friend of mine gave this to me, and it's a hard plastic, and it's pretty old. And you wiggle the tail, and the head moves. So I just thought, anybody out there see that, and its legs move, and so it's kind of cute, And then there's this, which is an early, this is like a 1990s Jurassic Park Triceratops, and the head moves. I'm trying to think, is there a, yeah. See, back then, they had a lever system where you move the back leg and the head bucks. And the horns are still a little soft, and much shorter, though, than what a real Triceratops, you can see here, this is a really good model, the scale, the horns should stick out past the nose, and on this one, they don't, you can see they really, the nose sticks out past the horn. So it's not accurate that way, but, that's really old, and, it's like, 25 years old. And lastly, there is this, which I thought might be a real dinosaur, but no, it's not. It goes to something that it's just some kind of imaginary kind of a ceratopsid. It's got all those horns, and it has a mouth that goes up and down. So, could be a real dinosaur. Who knows? Maybe we'll find one that really looks like that. You never know. And the thing is they don't know everything about how these dinosaurs look. A lot of times they just make an assumption. They find a couple of bones and they go, well, we know that these bones were like these other bones, so it wasn't the same category of this, but it's a little bit larger or a little bit smaller. So, if it's an adult, and maybe we can tell that based on the growth plates, we could say, well, it's an adult, so maybe, and in comparison to something that we do know more about, it was larger or smaller, and everything else after that might be just an assumption, as far as whether it's, what kind of scales it has or how many horns or something like that. So, you can't always believe everything you find. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting and informative, and I look forward to seeing you all real soon with something very different, I'm sure. So, take care.